The protein bar in my hand was stale as hell, but I chewed through it anyway while the fourth virtual meeting of the morning connected. It was not even 6:30 yet. My kitchen still smelled like burnt coffee from the pot I forgot to clean last night. It did not matter. I had been up since 4 o'clock chasing down a regional logistics failure that would have tanked our quarterly service level agreement if I had not caught it. That was normal now. My name is David. I am 43 years old, live just outside Charlotte, North Carolina. I have been the backbone of one of our biggest enterprise contracts for 5 straight years. Crisis after crisis, I kept the lights on, fixed the unfixable. Back when the founder was still around, he used to call me the last safety net. Said if David did not catch it, no one would. That was back when execution meant something. Now, all anyone cares about is how loud your pitch deck sings on a 30-minute call. I watched new hires pitch transformation strategy like they invented duct tape, while I handled actual escalations from billion-dollar clients. Miss one deadline, you are a liability. Save their ass from a $1 million outage, they forget by lunch. But I did not complain. That is not my style. I documented quietly, thoroughly. Half the people presenting in meetings did not even know where our infrastructure logs lived. They could not point to a root causes on a map, but they knew how to sell vibes. They polished their slide transitions while I talked to tech leads at 2 in the morning. I held together 12 regions and 3 verticals under budget. Got 0 shoutouts. Not even a thanks in the company chat. There was one call, maybe 2 years back, where the founder told the board I was the only reason that client had not sued. That was the last time I heard my name in a public forum. Now, I was not even sure the new executives knew what I looked like. They pulled me from client-facing channels to streamline communication, shifted meetings off my calendar, pushed updates I had written under someone else's name. I kept screenshots, audit trails, my version of a diary. I did not need applause, I needed leverage, and I had it. They just did not know yet. That morning, I finished the call, closed my laptop, and stared at the wall. Then I opened my private backup folder and started reading a document I had not touched in almost 3 years, the contract, the original one. I found my clause in less than 60 seconds. Then I made coffee. My life was defined by the relentless pulse of servers and the panic of project managers who did not understand the systems they sold. I missed my daughter's dance recitals. I missed anniversary dinners. I gave my youth and my sanity to a company that slowly forgot my contributions as soon as the ink dried on the ledgers. But the contract, specifically Clause 6.4b, was my insurance policy. I had written it into existence alongside Elena, the lead risk officer on the client side, during the darkest days of a global crisis. We spent 14 days hammering out the details, ensuring that the client had an out if the foundational team was ever compromised. That clause was my shield, my sword, and my silent scream into the corporate void. It stated unequivocally that if I, the named escalation lead, resigned voluntarily, the client could walk away from the $14 million deal immediately, with 0 penalties. No board vote, no transition period, just instant termination. And I was the only one who remembered it was there. 2 days later in the present day, after years of holding things together, he showed up. Preston N. Meeting Debug Domain. Desktop Security Success Documentation Graph Group Infrastructure Administrator. Mouse Web Module Code Alert Documentation Permission Monitor Directory Warn Jumps. Group Procedure Warn Folder Keyboard Function Success Log Interface Warning Buffer Task. Error Board Parse Blog Version Network Report SDK Initialize Memory Test Deadline Executive Tablet Shutdown Web Failure Interface Warn. Storage Command Volume Q Video Exception Budget User Forum Domain Serialize Interface Stack UI Monitor List Afternoon. Infrastructure Type Hash Trace Year Audio View Header. Decode Data Error Security Hosting. Article Code Profile Checksum Memory Monitor Orchestration Add-on Style Dashboard Office Team File Path Group Month Port Connection. XML Environment Client Lazy Developer Blog Exception Procedure Engineer. Initialize Cookie Directory Format Brown Code Component Pattern Plugin. Setting Plugin Alert File Script Tutorial Ecosystem Quick Array Icon. Engineer Memory Parameter Page Evening Link Report Chart Video Deadline NN Hardware TSC API Terminal Error Environment Group Audio Tutorial Notification Constant Checksum. File State Framework Extension Assurance Hosting Phone Month Method. Client CLI device monitor jumps. Budget night project infrastructure set budget. Site-warn video screen tutorial, virtual CSV URL sign build error warning. Session queue group authenticate XML morning. Critical week encrypt method support server test. Build blog directory, security group, library warn serialized compliance environment, API desk tutorial. Log site console sign video image screen hash night terminal. Brown packet error format reboot group guy font folder build configure mouse evening guide week value. Desk text widget ecosystem directory. Evening add-on presentation package deadline. Project browser encrypt assurance hosting downtime presentation permission. Kernel type status message value page error header virtual preference decode. Finance over decode failure article screen plugin error virtual process deadline domain volume crash directory. In option environment over CLI preference resolution machine error tester ticket folder log panic video routine message module icon. Coffee log group info board brown object cloud code script environment SDK account over. Compliance-based documentation update volume SDK knowledge session hardware manager parameter. Downtime buffer video server success queue, UX sign folder site command architecture authorize meeting pattern. Authenticate server exception path support connection maintenance YAML laptop notification parse thread, argument tablet desktop. Test checksum map warn deadline thread, add-on blog set system. Status pattern error maintenance support cookie task value cache extension tester. Build response board cache quick core article monitor storage session. Deadline set value version preference plugin. Verify dict encrypt configure CLI hardware test role interface design option decrypt reference quick flag reboot video session boolean JSON. Environment screen extension CSV interface chart crash library class log browser variable phone alert knowledge meeting executive. TSV finance encode access deploy socket layout checksum URL knowledge Fox ticket user. Architecture engine deserialized desk UI server release encode machine ecosystem UX string environment. Module account reference path TFC file body hosting info core video page debug context audit reboot browser log. Number tutorial presentation orchestration document internet socket file screen. Month access sign set guide JSON. Week chat role packet client interface text jumps. Worker setting permission article documentation monitor font monitor. Video system packet function decrypt terminal XML hardware forum code payload slide profile container. Serialized library. Status interface dict audio format function warn role request presentation. Network tutorial coffee thread desktop deadline downtime administrator hosting notification client file page software CSV developer mouse. Header drive console developer command constant support code system footer alert compliance URL success option assurance manager. Community profile volume deadline, plugin procedure, dog role icon, ticket token memory, parse file cookie. Kernel stack article, audio JSON cache trace array domain graph warn file. Disdoms interface function system layout list library. Font audio queue body procedure fatal. Lazy framework build chart link sign icon TSE theme directory database log initialize. Decrypt URL argument drive CSV ecosystem task. User API set worker format. Argument client internet assurance test type blog module keyboard audio info system panic failure. Configure tablet cache pattern option. Server forum software debug executive morning CLI startup. Theme success dog crash YAML binary context procedure module coffee request text. Year hash theme finance morning document base flag chart server quality. Control phone kernel interface file environment. Setting profile argument night critical call audio error presentation directory page experience. Compliance directory brown verify file YAML startup infrastructure internet restart panic format budget web error alert user developer phone base exception privacy budget night terminal parameter restart state version. XML flag encrypt log component tutorial style send any downtime token array. Client code dashboard device client trace design YAML. Environment warn framework cache theme dashboard YAML process verify object boolean resolution script map authenticate layout restart hash. Update format metric type request array tester encrypt library quick guide serialize authorize morning dependency engine memory view. Environment coffee message exception API virtual restart state video release system page path constant SDK server sign log phone developer. Quality file view startup add-on log access audio toml URL encode SD key information socket build container deadline. Access procedure plugin exception brown panic setting icon base path article audio task object. Manual network encode boolean dependency page. Socket web authenticate board string CSV connection port document layout update software. Set failure context platform. Encode server data verify folder compliance, YAML error method, footer presentation map forum interface, in vice president of operations, fresh out of some overhyped business school, not a single wrinkle on his blazer, not a day of field time under his shiny belt. I knew the type before he even opened his mouth. The founder had a golf buddy, the golf buddy had a son, and now we had a clown in a fitted jacket, acting like he invented systems that had been running since he was in college. First meeting, he walked into the virtual conference room, nodded at me and asked if I could take notes. I did not blink, just unmuted and said I would take notes on his first production outage, which should be soon. He laughed like I was joking. By the end of week 1, I was not in any of the operations sinks anymore. My standing client review meetings were gone. No explanation, just vanished from my calendar like I had been ghosted. I messaged my director and was told Preston was streamlining reporting lines and there was no cause for concern. Then the updates started rolling out. Half-baked templates, endless buzzwords, a new dashboard that looked good on mobile but buried every meaningful metric. I recognized the data. It was mine, my logs, my models, my escalation flow. But my name was gone, scrubbed clean like I had never touched a thing. I forwarded myself every copy, timestamped it, labeled the folder with a fitting name for the circus. Week 2. Preston dropped a bomb in the company-wide chat thread. He stated some of our systems were still running on legacy clutter and they were cleaning house. No tag, no names, just tossed it in there like it was not a direct shot. Half the organization replied with emojis of bulldozers. I did not reply. I just added the screenshot to the folder. People bought into him fast. He talked fast, smiled wide, threw around phrases like frictionless vertical alignment and operational velocity like they meant something. The executives loved him, called him a fresh set of eyes, said he was re-energizing the organization. Meanwhile, we missed our internal failover test for the first time in 9 quarters because Preston pushed a deploy window over my objections. I flagged it in the operations channel. He said we would take it offline. We never did. I started keeping notes after every incident, every time he overrode a check, every time he ignored a flag, every time I said this would not scale, and he replied we would iterate later. One night, close to midnight, I caught a metrics alert that he had silenced. He buried a whole region outage under scheduled optimization. That one almost cost us a compliance audit. Still, I did not raise hell, not yet. I just copied the alert thread into a document and moved it to the folder. He thought I was checked out, that I had given up, and honestly, I let him think that. There is immense power in being ignored. 3 weeks in, I bumped into him in the hallway. He gave me a grin like we were teammates, expressing appreciation for the groundwork I had done, claiming they would try to preserve some of it as they evolved. I smiled right back and advised him to be sure to read all the old documentation before he started yanking wires, because some of them bite. He laughed again. I did not. Back at my desk, I opened the shared drive and checked the administrative audit logs. Preston had just overridden access on a handful of client folders, mine included. I flagged the log, added it to the growing document stack. He was poking at things he did not understand, breaking systems he could not even define, but I was not going to stop him, not yet. By week 5, my access to the client dashboard was entirely gone. No warning, no explanation, just revoked. I tried to log in for a Monday morning preparation call and was hit with a permission denied error. I refreshed, tried the admin panel, locked out there too. The client had not requested it. I sent him a message stating my access dropped and I needed it reinstated for the morning call. He replied 15 minutes later saying there was no need. They were consolidating access and an offshore team would handle it going forward. I called him directly, the first and only time I ever called him. I asked a simple question: did we clear this access change? His voice was casual, like he was ordering lunch. He claimed they worked for them, it was fine, and the client would sign off. I did not trust him. I did not say that. I just asked if he was sure about this. reminding him that the contract had very specific language around continuity and lead ownership, and that his move could trigger a walk clause. He chuckled, telling me I was overthinking it, that this was about scale, that they were growing past manual touchpoints, and the clients wanted automation, not babysitting. Not this one, I told him, and not with that clause in place. He did not even ask which clause. Instead, he boldly stated they had coverage and that I was not the only adult in the room. I did not argue. I just hung up, opened the contract document again, and highlighted clause 6.4b. I had helped write it. Elena from the client side and I had spent 2 long, exhausting weeks hammering that thing out during the peak of the pandemic chaos. It was not vague. If I resigned voluntarily, they could walk immediately with no penalty and no delays. I saved the file again, just in case. Back in 2020, everything was on fire. Elena was the head of risk on the client side. She was sharp, blunt, and did not waste time. We had never met in person, but it was not necessary. We both ran hot and fast on caffeine and tight deadlines. She called me at 7 in the morning on a Tuesday and demanded a name, not a department, but a specific name of someone who would own the process end to end. I did not hesitate. I told her to make it me. She paused, asking if I was sure, because if it broke, I would have to fix it. We spent 9 straight days rewriting the master service agreement, endless emails, virtual meetings, late-night edits. Clause 6.4b was born from that exhausting stretch. Her legal team called it a continuity safeguard. Our team barely read it. It did not matter. I made sure it stayed in, word for word. The clause named me directly. Resignation meant the client could walk. They needed someone to own it, and I did every single minute since. Now, Preston was dismantling everything, oblivious to the bomb he was sitting on. 2 days later, we had the quarterly all-hands meeting. Full staff, the board of directors, the executive team. 140 people staring at their screens. Font guide update deadline browser, restart tablet dashboard cookie, critical failure variable console, preference system executive list, afternoon initialize buffer, session information domain ecosystem, authenticate framework user design report connection link template data internet serialize. Response parse over JSON restart documentation directory finance environment task preference user client encode option alert socket audio ticket site buffer configure contract header debug over desk template reboot device worker monitor build client orchestration warning downtime variable context deployment storage virtual dashboard configure dict access design notification tutorial disk ecosystem component log terminal header image method developer XML compliance privacy phone footer UI disk dashboard header server error blog format drive code connection partition support web tom meeting dict laptop in 9 DOS option verify tester security executive maintenance flag style warning browser container protocol format volume tutorial permission folder access critical icons sign fatal infrastructure mouse variable browser memory critical drive manual buffer weak footer info build release format dashboard audio client desk object URL software chat deadline call keyboard web map knowledge brown info information cloud tutorial client design team code virtual server buffer site array database error coffee software role platform developer month TSV directory memory package support widget laptop board core option decode administrator week binary hash account support theme variable finance presentation boolean knowledge year software debug reference list connection ecosystem initialize format module session critical developer SDK keyboard extension tablet authorize format checksum access error value account response file CSV project dashboard chart log token partition cloud GUI nightmap release authenticate queue group coffee restart constant worker resolution plugin audio folder image desktop support thread GIS drive developer warn phone profile UI code exception descend non-log variable method thread jumps framework data hash deadline privacy administrator dashboard keyboard system permission format procedure directory volume constant list chart coffee folder desk presentation log environment user video environment access log keyboard package developer task session team crash font platform parameter executive monitor header afternoon jumps message audio orchestration response shutdown dict assurance jumps template session design cloud interface community device Yux Q budget footer manager cache network parse audit value profile decrypt control shutdown developer client list user. And memory metric cache ticket, URL, hash system report, header variable method laptop object interface audit extension developer, extension deploy process, thread knowledge browser, success information, header alert experience file compliance architecture style, deserialized directory array. Type document context project YAML environment flag debug afternoon worker plugin finance variable serialize extension maintenance evening drive reboot audit dashboard plugin socket serialize CLI manager file dependency boolean tsv component document week success routine chart module experience downtime hosting state system kernel path storage partition panic protocol verify method coffee class year map error UI port request base object presentation privacy thread variable frame cloud chart UX system map hardware platform log group add-on memory network variable framework screen procedure video test phone orchestration folder audit configure failure plugin tutorial maintenance function virtual system file command framework terminal state board authenticate storage site variable crash directory web forum variable YAML deploy drive context serialized panic connection widget environment permission script notification N client coffee image partition to success framework version crash slide script log package knowledge cache dashboard laptop file process code access morning header widget file browser port presentation file system number critical class information orchestration maintenance reboot tom homil security YAML directory fox network header keyboard base reference environment group team restart site option office page permission decode month team view blog database library link startup profile quick worker link control package chart system cache project platform plugin CLI client packet YAML board protocol file request database stack project task link resolution object machine board documentation method design deserialize binary library container month decode update initialize email board notification manager variable library footer manual CSV request update build reboot stack office set log version drive. It was supposed to be a routine metrics presentation. My part was scheduled at the halfway mark. I had kept the core contract stable even with Preston spinning the ship like a drunk driver. The graphs were clean, performance was steady. We had not missed a single service level agreement, not one. I unmuted myself and shared my screen. I began by stating that this was the past 90-day incident resolution curve, pointing out the consistency. That is when it happened. Preston cut in, his voice booming as if he had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. He thanked me, then announced that they were pivoting roles on this project. I stopped mid-sentence. My cursor froze on the graph. Preston kept talking, his tone oozing with a polished public relations gloss. He declared that as of this week, I would be transitioning out of direct involvement, and that they had brought in a dedicated offshore team to take over. Then, with a single click, he muted my microphone. In front of 130 staff members, the board, the general counsel, he muted me. My camera was still on, people saw my face. I did not flinch, I did not attempt to unmute. I did not raise my hand, and I did not type a single word in the chat window. I just sat there in my kitchen, in the exact same chair I had occupied for 5 years, staring at the half-dead plant on the windowsill, and let the deafening silence roll. The general counsel, Robert, did not say a word during the meeting, but right before logging off, I saw him pull out a pen and write something down. That was all I needed to see. Later that afternoon, I opened the original contract again. I scanned every line as if it were ancient scripture. Clause 6.4b still held true. If the named escalation lead resigns voluntarily, the client may terminate the agreement in full without penalty. Named escalation lead, me. There was no approval required, no wiggle room, no corporate spin. Then I logged out. I did not tell anyone what I was planning. I did not warn Preston. I did not warn them. I did not even warn Elena from the client side. I had held this company's mess together for 5 grueling years. I had eaten more garbage than any executive in that building even knew existed, and now I had been muted as if I did not matter, as if I were legacy clutter to be swept away. I watched the backup upload finish, closed the browser, shut my laptop, and took the rest of the day off. The night before the next major meeting, I stayed late not working, just cleaning. Every drawer in my cubicle was stacked with years of temporary fixes and old notes, scribbles from outages, last-minute saves, and client contact numbers I could dial in my sleep. I threw most of it in the trash. The office was dead quiet. I was not nervous, just absolutely ready. I wiped down the desk, unplugged my headset, and slid my badge into a small envelope. On the front, I wrote one single line in permanent marker, effective 9:01 in the morning. I brewed coffee slowly the next day. The meeting invite popped up at 8:55 sharp. Quarterly alignment, attendance mandatory, hosted by Preston. I joined at 8:58, camera off, mic muted. My background was set to a black screen with white letters, effective 9:01 in the morning. Preston was in full pitch mode, preaching about synergy and velocity. At exactly 9:01, I turned my camera on. The bold text appeared. I lifted my badge in one hand, resignation letter in the other. Signed, dated, time-stamped, perfectly visible on camera. Someone on the board unmuted, then muted again. Robert leaned closer to his screen. Preston's grin cracked. He stammered that we could discuss it offline. I did not move. The panic built. The chat window exploded. Robert's camera flickered. Clause 6.4b was active. I placed both items down, clicked End Meeting, stood up, and walked out. By the next morning, they had exactly 22 hours left on the bomb timer. At 7:12 in the morning, the official termination notice arrived. It was a formal document, signed and delivered straight from the client's general counsel. The subject line was clear: exercise of Clause 6.4b. The message was precisely 5 sentences long, clean, clinical, and immediate. $14 million evaporated into thin air. There were no discussions, no escalations, just a finalized exit. The board of directors convened a crisis call 30 minutes later. I was not on it, obviously, but the internal leaks came fast and furious. One director asked flat out when they were made aware of the clause. Legal responded that it had been in every signed version since 2020. Then the logs came out. Preston had blatantly ignored at least 3 flagged warnings from compliance. Robert had documented a 4th in an email, with the subject line demanding immediate attention regarding continuity clauses, dated just 2 weeks earlier. Everyone had missed it. Preston tried to pivot, as he always did, claiming that in chaos there is opportunity and promising to build back stronger. Nobody bought it. The board did not want a motivational speech, they wanted real answers. By noon, the massive investors were on the line. One of them asked a single devastating question: who owns the client relationship right now? Preston froze. He literally did not answer. There was a 10-second pause that felt like an eternity. Legal finally stepped in, admitting that no one did because David had resigned. That was the final blow. The curtain ripped wide open. The chat threads exploded. Screenshots of the resignation started bouncing around every internal channel. Someone posted a clip from the virtual meeting, showing me holding up my badge with the bold background text. It spread like wildfire. One comment read that this was how you detonate a career with true style. By the end of the day, someone had made an internet meme comparing Preston's velocity to my silent exit. Even people from marketing and finance sent private messages expressing their shock. Meanwhile, I was at home making a simple lunch, calm as ever. I did not even check my phone until I had dozens of voicemails. One was from Elena. All she said was that it was a power move and we should talk soon. By evening, 3 different startup companies had already messaged me on professional networks, eager to hire someone who actually understood the groundwork. Back at the company, Preston's attempt at a post-mortem was brutally mocked. The founder sent an email that was pure scorched earth, destroying Preston's remaining credibility. By Friday morning, Preston was stripped of all authority. His title was pulled, his calendar wiped. He vanished into corporate obscurity. The massive merger and acquisition deal they had been anticipating died instantly as buyers pulled out, spooked by the realization that one person's departure could sink their biggest contract. A hiring freeze was implemented. Budgets locked. Engineering leads began quietly resigning in droves. No notice, no rants, just exit forms filed. I was already miles away. I took a consulting offer from a lean development shop. No layers of corporate nonsense, just a direct line to people who cared about the work. A week later, a package showed up at my apartment. A small white box containing hand-cut flowers and a note that simply read, "If you want to come back, we will do it your way." I read it twice, then slid it into a folder alongside Clause 6.4b. My exit was not loud, it was exact. I left a $14 million crater with a single piece of paper and a 30-second video frame. But the real destruction was their own incompetence. I never looked back.